Okay, just trying to figure out if that glitch happened when the opener happened. Hello, everybody. I'm here. What's happening? I am, as you can tell, I'm a little discombobulated, but I'm just laughing at some of the responses. And I should be crying at some of the rounds, but I'm laughing at some of the responses to the events from the day of the Derek Chauvin case regarding the young lady in Ohio who unfortunately met her demise in an act of trying to stab another person. And just the aftermath of that. Now that one, I don't know. You would think if you've seen the video on it, you'd think it was clear. And for whatever reason, some people don't think so. And there's a lot of questions on the internets and a lot of comments on the internets. And I'm just wondering to myself, what? So anyway, we'll talk a little bit about that today. I have a couple of breaking items, and it's FTG Thursday. So we have a few FTGs to give out, and it is what it is. So I am going to take 1 minute while I play the intro and take a sip of my coffee. Resist fascism. Play the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, PDawg Knight. And stop the music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as Dawg Knight on the internet. And welcome to the Dawg Knight Channel. It is Thursday, the 22nd of April, 2021, and I am ecstatic that you are here. Now, before I even get started, I've already have some sponsors lighting up the line, and so I'm excited about that. So let's just get those out of the way. First sponsor was, and I'm going to actually just play it again. Just do one of these. Oh, that didn't work. Well, it's going to work in a second. There it is. Gunfox. Oh my gosh, you know what? I forgot something. Gunfox 61 with the first sponsorship of the show today, and I have to do something real quick because it's very important that I thank Gunfox in the proper way with Gunfox 61. Oh, for fuck's sake. What the hell's going on here?
You are
there we go. Thank you, Gunfox 61. With the message being the toxic nuclear waste level spicy is back. Check Discord's news section for details. Warning, this news could lead to ranting, blood shooting out of your eyes, and in some cases, your head exploding. Duct tape. Oh, he says duct tape. Duct tape is recommended. FTG, Pedo Joe, and Maxine Waters. Well, yeah, we might mention them once or twice today because it is FTG Thursday. Also, thank you, American Company, also known as Gunfox 61. American Company sponsors the show today with the big $15 sponsorship. Says, this hour of the Dawg Knight Show is sponsored by the American Company, bringing you all the needed products from bats to hats to concrete. American made and mob approved. 25% off for selected products. Use the code Let It Burn. Okay, let it burn, let it burn, let it burn, yeah, let it burn. All right, so anyway, good morning, everybody. How you doing? It's Thursday. By the way, little programming to note. Tomorrow's show is going to be live from Des Moines, Iowa, and the Drake Relays. Actually, it's going to be live from West End Breakfast, which is a little bar just outside of the Drake campus that I used to frequent when I was in school. And me and some of my college buddies are going to be down there. But because they have free beer from 8 to 10 in the morning on Drake Release Friday. So that's where I'm going to be. It's going to be a live remote show. And also, I got a task for you as watchers of the show. I would like you to think of some questions that you would like me to ask college students. I'm going to do some just remote questions, and I'm going to make a video just questions I'm going to ask the college students. I want to ask them things related to the Shelvin trial, BLM, the different demonstrations and riots and things like that. So I know one of the questions I already know that I'm going to ask students and try to get just to make a video of it. I want to ask students, one, how many unarmed people do they believe are killed every year? How big of how immense is this problem? Because we saw a poll the other day where a lot of people thought it was like 1,000, over 1,000 a year. Some people thought it was over 10,000 a year. They actually believe that, and statistically it's not that. But I'm curious of what people think. And so if you can do me a favor, what I'll do is I'll put one of those, those messages you can put up on YouTube. I'll put one of those messages up later today, and I'd like you to answer that question. I'll make a request, and you can do it there, because I don't necessarily want you to do it in the I don't necessarily want you to do it in the chat. I don't necessarily want you to do it in the comments of this video. So I'll put up one of those community messages, and if you see that over the next 24 hours, put your questions there, and we'll use some of your questions when we go out on the road tomorrow. Oh my God, what the hell is going on here? Do you want to allow this app to make changes to your device? No, not right now. What the hell's going on? Anyway, so thank you very much, GunFox61, and you get a bell and a clap just for being a sponsor of the show. I greatly appreciate it. If you'd like to sponsor the show today, obviously you can do YouTube Super Chats. You can use Streamlabs, which is give some less money to Susan WikiWiki, and or you can. There's look in the description down below. There's ways you can do. But if you want me to talk and say what you put on the in the message, well, then use one of those other two, Streamlabs or YouTube Super Chats. All right, let's do a quick hello to everybody, and then we're going to get on with the show. In the chat today first was Tales of Gore. Good morning, sir, and thank you for being here. A rare appearance, but I greatly appreciate it. And you get the bell for being the first person in the chat. Also, good morning, Richard, my friend from down under, who in the middle of this stream changed his name. I just noticed you changed your name midstream. Well, we'll figure it out. Also, and so that's Richo hung from the fan. Okay. That's interesting. Unless that's a different Richo. Are there two Richos? I don't know. We'll have to find out. Also, good morning, Willett Forge. Good morning, Sheagrath. Good morning, Wikipedia Snippet. Hello, Jonathan Peterson. James PFP's in the house. Jackals Freunstein is back. Nice to see you. Dealing with idiots in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania today, and this music is what I need to calm down. I'm not sure which music you're talking about. Is the music in the pre video or stream, or is it just the when there's actually B-roll? I don't know. Also, good morning. Nappy Time. Woo woo. Hey, welcome to the show. That's a new name I have not seen before. Congratulations for finding us, and hopefully I don't offend you too much, and we'll try to we'll see what happens. Hey, and if you disagree with me, stick around anyway, because I'm more than happy to engage with people who disagree with me too. It's all good. Good morning, T-Ball. What's happening? Renee Mayette. Zablaze in the house. Broken Word. What's happening? Wikipedia Snippet. Advocatus Diablo, the Devil's Advocate. Is in the house. Also, good morning to let's see, Richard Off Orifices. Or is it Richard of Orifices? It looks like Richard's of Orifices. And so that's how I'm reading it. Thank you very much. Oh, I was in the recommends. Oh, fantastic. I am glad you're here. Oh, and if you're new here, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, even if you're not sure. I mean, I might piss you off to no end, but you know what? Sometimes it's fun to be pissed off. I know that very well. Also, oh wait, you're in the recommended. I'm getting recommended by YouTube? YouTube recommended? Are you serious? Thank you for letting me know that, because I don't even recommend. I don't remember any time I've ever been recommended. And so that's fantastic. I'm glad you found me. All right. Good morning, Ryan Walters. What's up? Sleepy Tom 6969. You ain't getting no sleep if you're doing that. Yeah, I said that out loud, didn't I? And welcome. That's another name I haven't seen. You may have been lurking in the past, but now you've joined the chat. You've shown yourself. I hope you haven't given any money to Kyle Rittenhouse. Because, anyway, I don't know why I said that. I don't have any problem. If people want to give money to Kyle Rittenhouse, I encourage it. Everyone deserves good legal representation in this country, and I don't think you should be in trouble for doing that. Anyway, also good morning, Jonathan Peterson. I'm rambling a lot, aren't I? Good morning, my favorite Canadian Jaeger pony. What's up? Good morning, Ryan Walters. I think I already said that. FTW Nil, how you doing? Let's see. Who else is down here? Let's find out. Well, I'm scrolling. Anna Lynn is in the house. Thank you for being here. Johnny Hellcat, the original first ever viewer of the Morning Night Live. Also, good morning, MC.
Stop. Hammer time.
Nice to see you, of course. Did I say Jonas Pedersen? If I haven't, I'm saying it now. Let's see. Who else have I missed here? I think I'm getting pretty close to everybody. If I miss you, let me know later, and I'll make sure I say hi. Attack Alpaca, Derai Deos, Gunfox 61. I believe I said that. No, Gunfox was the first sponsor of the show today. Thank you for sponsoring the show. And also, Gunfox is the administrator extraordinaire of our Discord server, and also a prolific conveyor of news topics. What's that doing? In the Discord, the news tab is always filled with some spicy gems from Gunfox, and we might even check that out if I get some time today. Ebony Williams, what's up? Nice to have you back. And I think that's everybody. Oh my gosh. Nope. Can Pubhead Carlos in the house? Nice to see you. Green Thunder Demighty, formerly known as Green Thunder Demighty. And, okay, Jesse Leon, what's up? I'm close. If I missed you, Pissed Off Shih Tzu. Don't piss off the Shih Tzu. Pissed Off Shih Tzu's in the house. And thank you, Pincalo, with big thumbs up via YouTube Super Chat with the Canadian $1.99, which I think is $1.31 in American. So, all right, I'm caught up. And if, more people show up, we're there. Hello, Chicago Mike. Hello, Thomas Cleaver. Thomas Cleaver, I'm here, but I'm sleeping. Well, I know. Well, I'm always amazed that like you come and Richard comes because you're. By the way, if you're new here, Thomas Cleaver is in New Zealand and Richard's in Australia, and I'm sometimes amazed that it's kind of what is it? What time is it there, Thomas? Out of curiosity. Good morning, Gamer Valine. I might be having a special FTG Thursday when I go back to work tonight. I wonder why. All right, let's get into. Here's some breaking news, or not breaking news, just the stuff that I pulled out for this morning. And don't you dare tell me it was my head out of my hind parts. I'm looking at you. You know who you are. Who might say that? Anyway, so a little bit interesting article in Legal Insurrection this morning about possible post-trial Shelvin post-trial sentencing and what to expect. And so here we go. Sentencing guidelines, enhancements, and Blakely factors. There's something called the Blakely pleading or something like that Derek Chauvin has done. So anyway, here's Legal Insurrection's take on this. By the way, if you're new here also, everything I talk about during this show, if you want to see the articles or whatever, at the end of the show, I update the tabs. There's a link in the description down below that I update. Let me fix something here. Hopefully I said it doesn't have the old one up. I should change that. After the show, I update a link that's right under the description of this particular video or stream. And it will have one link that'll take you to just a page full of links of everything we talk about. So all on one page. So if you hear an article that you like hearing about, or you want to use it for something you're doing in your videos or your blog or whatever you do, you'll be able to find all these articles in the description down below, roughly right during the outro. I usually update that. And so, check after the show in the description down below. All right, let's get into this article though, because as I changed it over. All right, welcome to this is the guy Andrew Branca, who's been covering the trial, and he's an attorney. I can't remember where from, but he's been following the trial, and he knows a lot about Minnesota laws, Minnesota guidelines, and things like that. Welcome to our ongoing post-trial coverage of Minnesota versus Shelvin, following the Shelvin being found guilty on all counts. I'm attorney Andrew Branca for Law and Self-Defense. With the guilt phase of Shelvin trial now completed, with verdicts of guilt on all counts, second-degree felony murder, third-degree reckless murder, and second-degree reckless manslaughter, we now move on to the sentencing phase of the legal process. Incidentally, if you're enjoying Oh, yeah. If they're enjoying the count, let's see. He does a Shelvin post-trial analysis webinar he's going to be doing with Professor William Jacobson over at Legal Insurrection tonight at 8 p.m. So you might want to check that out, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's interesting. Hello, Spambot 2022. Nice to see you. All right, let's just skip that stuff and just get on to the meat of this. Minnesota uses sentencing guidelines for this purpose, as do most states for these days. And for those interested, he's embedded some of the guideline materials in the post below. Generally speaking, sentencing guidelines calculate a sentence range based on the severity of the crime and then adjust that range up or down, primarily based on any prior convictions of the defendant being sentenced. Now, obviously, this particular person convicted has no priors. This is a police officer. If he had priors, he probably wouldn't be a police officer. Hello, Mr. Yes. How you doing? And also, Alone's in the house, a.k.a. Always Lost and Nothing Else. How you doing? All right. So, now, here's... Once the initial range of possibilities is determined, however, that range can be further reduced below the initial range if there are mitigating factors, or alternatively increased above the initial range if there are aggravating factors known as Blakely factors, in reference to the U.S. Supreme Court decision on sentencing enhancement, which is called Blakely versus Washington from 2004. Now, Blakely is an interesting case because it resulted in a profound revision of how sentencing guidelines are understood and applied in criminal law. Criminal offenses typically have a maximum sentence, say 40 years for second-degree felony murder, and then the sentencing guidelines suggest some fraction of that maximum for, say, a convict with no prior convictions, say 10 and a half years for that same second-degree murder. Traditional practice has long been that a judge could consider a variety of mitigating and aggravating factors in ordering a shorter or longer sentences than the guidelines suggest, and that this consideration was entirely in the discretion of the sentencing judge, so long as the sentence ordered did not exceed the maximum statutory sentence for that particular offense for which the defendant had been found guilty. So in the context of our second-degree felony murder conviction, a jury of the defendant's peers had found him guilty of that crime, punishable by up to 40 years. And now it was within the discretion of the sentencing judge to start sentencing considerations using the recommended sentence suggested by the guidelines and then adjusting upward or downward based on his own discretion with no further involvement by a jury. The only time further involvement by a jury would be required then would be if a judge wished to exceed the statutory maximum sentence for the crime for which the defendant had been convicted. In effect, the defendant would need to be convicted of separate offense that carried a longer than a 40-year maximum if the judge wanted to sentence the defendant any additional time beyond the 40. And, of course, a separate conviction would again trigger the right to a jury to do the fact-finding. Now, that is how sentencing departures typically worked. A sentencing judge had no need to involve the jury in sentencing so as long as the judge did not attempt to exceed the maximum statutory sentence for the crime for which the jury had already been found the defendant guilty. Now, Blakely changed all that. Under Blakely, the judge still needed to involve a jury if he wanted to sentence beyond the maximum statutory range for the crime for which the defendant was convicted. But Blakely also held that a judge needed to involve a jury if he wanted to sentence a convict beyond the range suggested by the sentencing guidelines. In effect, the limit of the sentencing judge discretion was no longer the statutory maximum for the crime in question. Under Blakely, the limit of sentencing, and this is getting boring, but stay with me here. Under Blakely, the limit of the sentencing judge's discretion became whatever sentence was suggested by the sentencing guidelines. If the sentencing judge wanted to exceed the guidelines suggested of sentence, under Blakely, the convict now has a right to a jury to do the fact-finding on that decision. In the case of Minnesota versus Shelvin, the state months ago filed notice with the court that if Shelvin were found guilty, they intended to seek sentencing departure above and beyond the normal range on a variety of aggravating factors they claim to exist, which they outlined in a motion filed in October 2020. So the state was already saying, if we get a guilty verdict, we want to be able to sentence him above the sentencing guidelines. So, kangaroo court? Immediately after yesterday's reading of the guilty verdict, Judge Cahill informed the parties that they would have 1 week to file arguments on Blakely factors in the case, and that he would render his factual findings of aggravating factors for sentencing within the following week. Separately, Judge Cahill ordered a pretrial investigation to be conducted, returnable in 4 weeks, and arguments on the PSI findings 2 weeks after that, and final sentencing a further 2 weeks after that. So, final sentencing will be in 8 weeks from yesterday's verdict. Each of the charges on which Shelvin was convicted carries its own maximum sentence, but that maximum is rarely imposed in the absence of prior convictions. So generally, the defendant without priors, now a convict, after being found guilty, can expect to be sentenced to some sizable fraction of the maximum sentence. In the context of second-degree felony, 40 years. Third-degree reckless murder, 25 years. Second-degree reckless manslaughter, 10 years, and then they have that has a possible fine of up to 20 grand. Normally, those sentences would be ordered to run concurrently in parallel with each other, not consecutively, so that Shelvin, as a convict without priors, would expect to be sentenced to about 10 and a half years of prison, and to be eligible for early release in some substantial fraction of that time. But the state's pursuit of a Blakely upward departure in sentencing, however, means that if Judge Cahill agrees with the factual Blakely claims by the state, he will be free to sentence Shelvin to substantially more than the recommended 10.5 years. Yeah. This is, let's just, again, now me being one who believes that the third charge probably should have been, if I were in the jury, the third charge guilty verdict, not the first two. Because let me get into this. I told you about my discussion with the amazing Lucas. It wasn't a discussion. I just put a line in this chat discussing the idea that the first two charges, second degree felony murder and third degree felony murder, both required an underlying felony. Okay, so because it's not a murder conviction, it's an unintended murder conviction within another crime. And so my question now is that because I am going to do one of his call-in shows and ask him this question: at what moment did Derek Chauvin commit a felony assault on George Floyd? And I was thinking about this, and I'm thinking his lawyers with that god-awful, almost 2-hour closing never really got anyone during this entire trial to answer that question. Okay. Felony murder requires an underlying felony assault. Okay. And I started reading, I went back and I was reading through Minnesota statutes. There's 5 levels of assault that can turn into a felony in Minnesota. All of those felony assaults requires intent. Okay. Now, felony murder does not require intent. Felony murder is when someone dies while you're in the act of a felony assault. So you go in, and I went through this yesterday. If I go into rob a liquor store, okay, and I'm carrying a shotgun, okay, and I'm not pointing the shotgun at the guy at the thing, but I'm holding the shotgun and it accidentally goes off, and accidentally kill someone over there. That person dies while I'm in the act of committing a felony robbery. That death over there is considered felony murder. Or if I am robbing that liquor store, felony robbery, aggravated robbery, whatever, and I run out of the liquor store after I get all the cash out of the register, and a person coming into the liquor store sees me with a shotgun running out and dies of a heart attack, that person did not die because of my intentions, but because that person dies of a heart attack while I'm in the middle of a felony robbery, I can be convicted of felony murder. There's a felony same with this felony. So this felony murder that Derek Chauvin is convicted of, he would have had to been an act of committing a felony. So now let's go back. When did Derek Chauvin commit the felony? I want to ask this question. I would have asked the jury this question because everything he was doing up until they're saying that him staying on the neck is the reason George Floyd died. And there's still, I think there's other questions that he should have asked about that he never did. But if everything was to procedure up until he was on his neck, when did him securing George Floyd on the ground become a felony assault? Was it immediately a felony assault when they secured George Floyd on the ground? Now, reminder, I think the third charge was legitimate. The third guilty charge, even though it could have gone either way, it's legitimate one way or the other. I'm not even disputing the third guilty verdict. I'm disputing the first two. When exactly did Derek Chauvin's actions become a felony assault? Now remember, felony assault, again, requires intent in Minnesota. I went through all five. There's 5 degrees, and I went through all of them. Every single one required an intent. Had to be an intent to it. You had to intend to commit an assault. Okay, if someone punched you in the mouth, you punch them back. That's not necessarily considered assault. Okay, if you go and punch somebody in the mouth. Now in Minnesota, in fact, if you just go punch somebody in the mouth and they fall down and hit their head on a rock, you haven't committed felony assault necessarily. Okay. Now because the assault could be a misdemeanor assault, and this has to be a felony assault. Or if they hit their head and go in the hospital, it's assault, but it's not felony assault. The first time you have an encounter with somebody, you assault them. That's not felony assault in Minnesota. That's a misdemeanor. Now, if you go back but if you do it again to the same person with some malice to it, then it becomes a felony assault the second time. And that's called fifth degree felony assault, is when you've had a misdemeanor assault on the same person multiple times, it turns into a felony assault. But anyway, I'm still trying to figure out when exactly did it become an assault? When did it become a felony assault? Derek Chauvin having him on the ground. Yes, he did ask to be on the ground. And I don't know. Is it Richo? You keep changing your name. You're killing me, dude. Unless you have several accounts running through it here. Anyway, good morning, Amy in Connecticut. Good morning, a couple of Richo. What are you doing? You have several accounts open. I see your name all over here. So anyway, interesting on this sentencing though that the state is. This is interesting. The state is trying to go beyond the sentencing guidelines and what they're going to use for this. You can read the article, and they also have the actual filing here from, let's see, what's the date on this? October 12th, when they said they are planning on going above the sentencing guidelines. Now, if they do try to go, now listen, here's the other part. See, because the crowd outside wants blood. They want his blood. Hello, Maddie. How you doing? They want his blood. They want him to be sentenced the maximum, not just for the sentencing guidelines, but the maximum for the crime. And they probably want it consecutive. They want him in prison for 75 years. And they get anything less, it's going to be another protest. Sentencing guidelines for what he, in this case, will be 10 and a half years. Do you think anyone's going to be satisfied if it's only 10 and a half years? He murdered George Floyd. No. This is not first degree or second degree murder. This is second degree felony murder. Unintentional murder. Minnesota has some weird rules, okay? Go watch Nate the Lawyer. If you're familiar with him, go watch, what's the other dude that I watch all the time? You could watch, who's the law, never mind. I'm blanking out. Anyway, there's a bunch of internet lawyers. Go check out the internet lawyers if you want more details. I'm not a lawyer. I just play one on the internet sometimes. Somehow I got the nickname Lawyer Dog because somebody needed a lawyer dog. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, in this article, they have the full filings here, the sentencing guidelines. They got everything in this article. So if you're really interested and want to dig deeper into this, go for it. It'll be in the link in the description under this video window at the end of the show. All right, let's move on. Now this one cracked me up because I saw this. I watched this live when this announcement was made. The Justice Department is on a witch hunt. They have opened an investigation into the Minneapolis Police Department. Fantastic. Oh, I need that Law and Order sound. Yeah. Dung. Dung. I might have to put that in the old thing here. How about this sound? That ain't it. All right. Justice Department opens an investigation into the Minneapolis Police Department. Now, this is funny to me because I don't think this has anything to do with the Minneapolis Police Department. If you think about it, so there's been cases in Minnesota, and there's a lot of people who don't really understand the Twin Cities here. So the Twin Cities, Minneapolis and St. Paul, are split by the Mississippi River in part. There's a border that goes between the two, and basically half is St. Paul, half is Minneapolis. Hello, Scribe. Dog Thrapple. And then there's a bunch of surrounding suburbs. So we had the incident with George Floyd. We had the incident with Flannel Castile, and that was in Falcon Heights, which is kind of a mid-suburb of more of St. Paul than Minneapolis. Then you had the thing in Brooklyn Center, which is a northern suburb of Minneapolis. But it's not all one thing. There's not just one police department. They're all separate jurisdictions, separate suburbs, separate police departments, right? But because we have this one incident that happened to be in Minneapolis, in Hennepin County, which there are several. Oh, by the way, Maddie and Roden are here. Nice to see you. All right, because we have this, several police departments, and there's been these incidents here, the Justice Department has decided to focus on Minneapolis. Just one day after Derek Chauvin's murder conviction, Biden's Justice Department is wasting no time in announcing a witch hunt investigation into the policies and operations of the Minneapolis Police Department. The Justice Department has opened its civil investigation to determine whether the Minneapolis Police Department engages in a pattern or practice of unconstitutional or unlawful policing. Attorney General Merrick Garland said investigations like these often are precursors to court-approved deals between the Justice Department and local governments to create and enforce a plan for training and operational changes, the New York Times reports. This, however, is separate from the existing investigation into whether Chauvin violated George Floyd's civil rights at the time of the incident. You really do not want to be Derek Chauvin right now. They are going full guns on this guy. And here's an interesting thing, though, is as I was reading yesterday, and I think I read this yesterday in the show, the other three officers may have an out because the state, the prosecutor against Derek Chauvin, basically said during that trial that George Floyd's death was solely the fault of Derek Chauvin, and literally said not the other three officers. So how exactly is the state going to put the other three officers on trial after they said that 100% of the reason for Floyd's death is Derek Chauvin? But anyway, okay, so investigators will seek to determine whether the Minneapolis Police Department engages in inherent use of excessive force, including during protests. Ha! Excessive force during protest? This is funny because, again, the Minneapolis Police Department basically ran away. We're told to stand down during the protest after George Floyd. And hasn't really had any force. There hasn't been any incidents with the police and the protesters during these protests. Now, in Brooklyn Center, where the protesters were throwing bricks and rocks and bottles and frozen water bottles and soup cans, soup for the family, that's where the police kind of pushed back during the protests. They started as protests, but they ended up being declared an unlawful assembly or whatever because they were committing violence. But, so it's interesting though. That's why the 3rd precinct in Minneapolis was able to be burnt to the ground because the police were told to stand down. That's why about a mile long stretch along Lake Street in Minneapolis was basically burned down or ruined or whatever and looted and whatever because the police were told to stand down. So I'm curious about the inherent use of excessive force, including during protests. What the hell are you talking about? And whether it's treatment of those with behavioral health disabilities break the law. Really? How exactly would you happen to know when you're an officer of the law if the person you're dealing with immediately, how would you know if they had behavioral health disabilities? And what the hell is a behavioral health disability? I understand cognitive health disabilities or mental health disabilities or physical disabilities, but behavioral health disabilities. You mean like psychopaths? What the fuck does that mean? Good morning, Wikipedia snippet. Green Badger Outdoors. Tom Rich, who's in here as multiple names. How you doing? Additionally, they will review the police department's policies, training, supervision, and use of force investigations. If it's found that the department engages in unlawful behaviors, Garland said the Justice Department would issue a public report and potentially bring forth a civil lawsuit. Most of our now, I listened to his announcement of this. Thank God this man is not in the Supreme Court. Holy shit, he is. I mean, well, first of all, it was it was an amazing bowl of word salad. I mean, I could have fed my family for quite a while, and I thank gosh I didn't have to, but. It was just a mumbling, rambling mess of a statement saying that he was going to be, they're going to have this investigation. But this is it's dogpiling on the Minneapolis Police Department. Now, let me back up here. Back in the 90s when I was here, because I just actually lived here, back during the Murderapolis days when there was for this town in particular, there was a rash of murders in Minneapolis, mostly drug-related crimes and things like that. The Minneapolis Police Department then did have a bit of a reputation, not just for issues with some overzealousness, but also some corruption issues. But those were, I think the Justice Department came in back then and they kind of cleaned house. And, you know, for the most part, I think since then, the Minneapolis Police Department has been on the straight and narrow. But I just find it odd that they want to come in and I don't know, give it more scrutiny. This is all a show. It's all a show. And I look back at this sentencing stuff going on with Derek Chauvin. I'm thinking, that's the one dude I didn't want to be. So anyway, all right, real quick. Thank you, everyone in the room. Just a reminder, you are the sponsors of this show. You can sponsor the show in several ways. You can hit the like button. That helps out. The biggest way you can help is share the stream. If you're new here and you like what you're doing, tell somebody else and invite them to join us. We're here Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. And also, if you want to do throw something in the tip jar, or actually be a sponsor of the Morning Night Live, you can do that. You can go to the PDawgKnight.live link, where I also have a merch store with the Resist Fascism items. And there's also just a place there where you can do Streamlabs Super Chats, which is, I got to figure out. Now, has anyone seen any of my Streamlab automated bots? I just noticed that I haven't seen them in a few days, and someone was saying that they're not allowing those anymore in chat. So, and also they're not allowing Streamlab links in the chat, which is weird. But the Streamlabs link is in the description down below. I'm not supposed to say this out loud, but Streamlabs doesn't take as much of your money away from me. If you're donating to my channel, YouTube takes 30% and Streamlabs doesn't take that much. So if you're going to do it, you know what, do what's most comfortable for you. The one thing YouTube does give you a tiny bit more privacy is in when you donate through Streamlabs. I do see your names, but I have no interest in sharing your names. If you have a pseudonym, I'm not, that's your thing. And I am more than happy to protect your privacy. One other note, because today we're going to be hitting a little bit of Twitter stuff today, and I wanted to make sure that I make my personal desires clear when I talk about people on the internet. When I talk about people on the internet, that's between you and me, okay? And if I would ask that if you are going to engage with people I talk about, be respectful. I'm generally respectful to people on Twitter. And also, but don't invoke my name either, because don't say, PDawgKnight told me to tell you you're an asshole. No. Please don't do that. That jeopardizes me, that jeopardizes my channel, and sometimes it can jeopardize you too, but mostly it jeopardizes me, and I don't want to be jeopardized. Okay? So, now, obviously, sometimes you have your own thoughts and feelings that you want to express to people who you talk about, and I'm, great for you, but just leave me out of it. And and also, if you ever have find tweets or different, I'm on all kinds of social media. You go find me pretty much any social media at PDawgKnight. If you want me to be aware of some people or people doing things on the internet or on Twitter, I would prefer, rather than tagging me in a post or your response to them, I would much rather you just DM me the tweet. The reason being is I'm not always, I don't always necessarily want to be engaged with someone that I haven't initiated the engagement with. So sometimes, you've got a great comeback on someone's stupidity, and you type your comeback, but then tag me and a couple other people. I'd rather you not do that. I would prefer to get if you want to bring the tweet to my attention, just DM me. My DMs are open and I check them all the time. I'm very active on Twitter. I'm somewhat active on Minds, CloudHub, Parler, Gab. I have accounts there, but I don't post there a lot. Those are just for, if you get kicked off of Twitter, open an account in one of those places and you'll see my notifications that I post there too. So, and then also Discord. You can DM me in Discord. You can post things in Discord, and so that's basically how it's all going to work. So anyway, And I am just clicking the news center here in Discord, by the way, which there's a whole bunch of stuff in here. I know. I read this and I just go, oh my gosh. Oh, yeah, this is one I want to do. Well, let's speaking of Discord, I'm going to pull one off of here right now, because this is one that I got a feeling that I'm going to hyperventilate on. So this is an opinion on MSNBC, also known as Mess NBC, or, well, there's a whole lot of names. So this opinion from Katie Fang, an MSNBC opinion columnist, we're just going to go through this because this is the mindset. This is the mindset we're dealing with. And this is called Derek Chauvin's guilty verdict puts America's cops on notice. Okay. After 15 days of evidence and arguments and 10 hours of deliberation, the trial of former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin culminated Tuesday in a unanimous guilty verdict on all 3 counts in the murder of George Floyd. Now, they love to be able to say that. The murder of George Floyd. Hello, Don Keating. The murder of George Floyd. Second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. With this verdict, the 12-member jury sent a message to Chauvin. We are afraid of the mob. No, that's not what she wrote. They sent a message to Chauvin. He broke the law, and his status as an officer would not protect him. It sent even a louder message to America's broken system of policing. Although Lady Justice may be blind, on this day, these 5 men and 7 women certainly were not. As the prosecution asked them, they believed their eyes. The successful prosecution of Chauvin shows that that accountability is not just a word. It shows that when police officers use excessive force and deviate from training and the policies and procedures of the department, they cannot continue to rely on a jury to protect them from the consequences of those bad acts. Now, do we expect them to if that is the actual case? If a police officer uses excessive force and deviates from training and the policies and procedures of their department, do we expect them for a jury to protect them from the bad acts? Or is that a straw man? I think it's the latter. No, if that's the case, I want the officer prosecuted. But guess what? I don't think this case was that simple. Because everyone who's obviously, you see something, and people put a narrative to what you see, your tendency is to believe that narrative until somebody breaks the chain of, what you've been told. And some people can never let go of the first thing they've heard about something. If you see something, you just, and you hear this is what that is, it's kind of difficult to let go of that. And I think now look, the defense did a decent job, especially in cross-examining witnesses. But as far as the law, I don't, particularly the second-degree felony murder, I think that's the one that is the most egregious to me, the one that absolutely shouldn't have been a guilty verdict. There's plenty of reasonable doubt on whether or not there was an underlying felony, but they didn't know. And that's, again, I think the defense, they blew that part. They really blew it. That's you, because, and I'm pretty sure the judge's instructions were correct. But anyway, let's get back on this. This verdict is an inflection point for policing in America, where it has historically been difficult to charge an police officer for a crime, let alone a conviction. For the first time in Minnesota history, a white police officer has been held accountable for killing a black man. Okay, here we go with that again. Now, it's not the first time a police officer has been held accountable for killing somebody. Just a white police officer being held accountable for killing a black man. There have been other cases that officers have been convicted. Not too many, but there have been a couple. But the Shelvin trial was one of other firsts and one of unique facts and circumstances. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, the first African-American elected to statewide office in Minnesota, spearheaded the prosecution. The governor of Minnesota appointed him as the special prosecutor to take over the case for Hennepin County attorney who normally would have prosecuted the case, except he didn't prosecute the case. The prosecution team consisted of 13 lawyers, 2 of whom were front and center during the entire trial, Jerry Blackwell and Steve Schleicher. Blackwell and Schleicher both work in private practice and were brought on board to assist in the Chauvin prosecution. Like all of us outside all of the outside counsel who were part of the prosecution's team, they worked on the case pro bono. All right. Some of the most preeminent physicians in the world also testified for free on behalf of the prosecution. Expert medical witness typically charge a substantially hourly fee to testify in court. Dr. Victor Tobin, a world-renowned lung and critical care specialist. Dr. Lindsay Thomas, a forensic pathology expert who trained the medical examiner who conducted the autopsy of George Floyd, both testified against Chauvin. Neither doctor received payment. Yeah, in Cross, though, I thought they also gave some gems to the defense, but obviously that didn't get taken well. Hello, Chris Kroll, by the way. Good morning. Yeah, AG Antifa Ellison. Yeah. Oh, Lord, Keith Ellison. I don't even want to get started on Keith Ellison. Anyway, the trial also took place against the backdrop of a pandemic. Everyone wore masks. People maintained a 6 feet distance from one another. A plexiglass shield created clear but palpable barrier separating witnesses, lawyers, and jurors. The trial was broadcast and live streamed because the public was restricted from being physically present due to the pandemic, transporting emotions and the graphic depictions of Floyd's death into homes across the country and protesters in the street. Notably, and in an almost unprecedented move, several cops, both former and current, voluntarily testified against another cop. Even the chief of Minneapolis Police Department, Medaria Arredondo, testified against one of his now former own. Arredondo, the first African-American to hold the position of police chief in Minneapolis Police Department, the head of the use of force training at the department, and a parade of other officers all corroborated the prosecution's argument that Chauvin used excessive force during the arrest of Floyd. Now, again, I go back to at what point was the felony assault? And what point was it excessive force? That nobody answered that question during the trial. At what point was it excessive force? Immediately? At some time, or sometime during the 9 minutes and whatever seconds? Where, and again, is that felony? Is it a felony? And so then you got to go back to, is it felony murder? But I'm just saying, because the felony, excessive force, you have to have done it intentionally. Did Derek Chauvin use excessive force intentionally? It's not whether or not he used excessive force. Did he use excessive force intentionally? And did the excessive force rise to the level of a felony assault? That would have been, if I were the defending attorneys, I would have made somebody answer that question. And how? And when was the exact moment it became excessive force? Was it excessive force when you started, or was it, But when does excessive force become a felony? A felony assault. Anyway, let's see. And that Shelvin violated professional standards and department policies and procedures. That was what they testified. Paramedics and fire rescue professionals, also considered to be brothers in arms with law enforcement, also testified against Shelvin and supported the prosecution's case. Well, I don't know that they testified against Shelvin. They just testified what happened. They were prosecution witnesses, but they didn't really add anything to what would cause them to convict Shelvin. They just gave us, they were fact witnesses. They didn't really, I don't think there was anything that they testified that made any difference other than the fact they told what they did and when they took him and how long it took them to get there. That was another issue. Good morning, John Smith. Anyway, the video started, it all was prominently on display, all 9 minutes and 29 seconds of it, but that video was not from officer body cam footage nor from official city street for surveillance. The critical video evidence in this case showed the world the murder of Floyd by Shelvin came. Oh, by the way, that word murder has been used constantly since this happened. Wonder if any of the juries were influenced by that. I wonder if any of the juries were influenced by the crowd. I wonder if they influenced the fact that they weren't sequestered. That's going to be part of the appeals process, probably. We talked about that yesterday, although it's rare that works. But interesting. The critical video evidence in this case that showed the world the murder of George Floyd came from then 17-year-old Darnella Frazier, who used her cell phone to film the encounter. Frazier was able to capture a crime while it was being committed in public, and thanks to her, the prosecution was able to present compelling videographic evidence of Shelvin's guilt. The remaining now here's the other part. The remaining former MPD officers, Thomas Lane and J. Alexander King, also charged with the death of Floyd, are scheduled to be tried together August 23rd. Their charges are different than those against Shelvin, but the jurors will see and hear a lot of the same evidence that was presented in the Shelvin trial. They're also going to hear the prosecutors who said his death was solely George Floyd's fault. After Shelvin was escorted out in handcuffs at the end of the day, one of the lingering questions remains is whether this trial's outcome was an outlier or if it is a sign of more just verdicts. That's interesting. More just verdicts to come when it comes to police misconduct that harms and kills black people in America. Hey, guess what? Sometimes a just verdict goes in the defendant's favor. A just verdict doesn't mean that, so they can convict more officers. Sometimes the just verdict is just if it's the correct verdict. But you know what they mean by that sentence, don't you? It remains to be seen what impact this inflection point has out in the field, but America's watching. Yes, absolutely, America's watching. All right, let me do a quick, I'm going to do give me 1 minute here and I'll be right back. Hey everybody, it's me, Marty. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I hope you're enjoying the show. The Morning Night Live is sponsored by you, the viewers of the Morning Night Live. Please, if you have a moment, take time to share this stream by hitting that little arrow down below or up here if you're on a mobile. And please hit the like button. I know you like it if you're still here and you're still watching. And finally, if you want to support the show, you can do that through your donations and SuperChats, which are in the description down below. You can do that at Streamlabs link or at PDawgKnight.live. That every little bit helps. And thank you for watching. Now back to the show. Alrighty then, welcome back. I am back. Let me give you a few thank yous here. Thank you, Zablé, and Maddie Walker, and who else? all you people who were retweeting the show, or whether it's my tweet or their tweets or anybody else's tweets, thank you for helping me grow the channel. Again, I'm on all the social media up here: Twitter, Minds, Gab Parlor, Cloud Hub, and several video posting sites. If you're on one of those places, please share the show. That's the greatest way to grow. All right. So we know about this young lady in Ohio who, during the Derek Chauvin trial, unfortunately met her demise. Body camera footage. I'm not going to show the body cam footage, but the girl was seen in a video as a police officer comes up. There's a melee right in front of the officer, and within 20 seconds, the officer has discharged his weapon 4 times into a young 16-year-old girl who was an honor student, and she was a great girl and this and that. Of course she was. Unfortunately, she was in the act of stabbing someone with a knife, and so unfortunately, the young girl met her demise because the officer dropped 4 into her. And as I've been listening and watching different reactions to this, because initially we were told, yes, it was just a girl and she had a knife, but the officer just immediately shot her, didn't try to de-escalate things, this and that. And then we find out later, oh, nope, she was actually trying to stab somebody. And so they that's what happened. And I've been seeing lots of comments, and this I just wanted to share a few with you that I thought, oh my God. Oh my gosh. Oh, by the way, I do want to do an FTG for Merrick Garland, just the head of the Justice Department. Leon, what's up, my brother? How are you? Nice to have you in the chat. Okay, we gotta, you know what? We gotta talk, man. I've told you this before. Anyway, by the way, I've been enjoying your stuff. If you haven't, Ruin Leon, they're right in the chat. Go subscribe to Ruin Leon. He makes some nice videos. He's a very logical and based young man, and I appreciate that, the young brother. Anyway, so some of the reactions that I saw for this nonsense, and this is a typical one. This is typical. Who says, I've watched this video several times. Oh, I'm showing the video by accident. I've watched this video several times, and I'm very annoyed that people keep saying she should have complied. She was a teenager. There are so many other options. Whatever happened to de-escalation tactics? I'm just tired of it all. Rest in peace to this poor girl. And I'm thinking to myself, what? Woman, what the hell are you talking about? Now, in fact, she's replying to the Reuters video. Look, there's video. Now, we said, okay, in the George Floyd case, right? George Floyd, you see what you see. And honestly, we didn't necessarily see what we see, but that's okay. Look, Jerry was peers, whatever the reason they did that, it's gonna be what it's gonna be. But this girl clearly in the video is holding a knife and about to stab a girl who was holding a puppy. And I don't know what happened to the puppy, because the puppy was gone. When you first see her walk up to the police officer, that she had a puppy in her hand. And then the girl goes to stab her, the puppy's gone. Did she kill the puppy before she stabbed the girl? But anyway, I digress. The idea that there was a de-escalation option in this case, if you watch this video, the video's, it's like 12 seconds from the time he gets out of his car. He walks over, some girl gets knocked down, some dude kicks her in the head like he's playing Australian rules football, and then the other girl all of a sudden has a knife. She's about to stab the other girl, and pop. Okay, now I want to go through some of the dumb shit that people ask and complain about this. Again, here she says, so she continues, that's a comment someone who protects her tweet makes a comment. And I look down here, right? The other thing though, because the mother comes out and talks about how the girl's an honor student, this and that. And that, but another one saying, "Well, how are you going to shoot a girl who's got mentally challenged?" Wait a minute, what? one on one side is mentally challenged, but mom says she's an honor student. Which is it? Is she a mentally challenged honor student? I'm not sure. That just was a little bit of cognitive dissonance on my part. But anyway, then the woman says, after someone makes a comment that I can't read, a taser would have worked perfectly because it would have incapacitated her, but we could all agree that 4 bullets is a bit excessive and a very permanent, aggravated way of dealing with the teenage fight. First of all, okay, here's my first question, because a lot of people bring up the fact that she was only 16 years old, and the initial reports was 15 years old, but she was only 16 years old. Okay, now if you watch that video, and I know you've probably all seen it. If you haven't seen it, it's out there. Go find it. It's on YouTube. In fact, I'll put a link. I have a link to that video that I'll have in the end of in the links today. Okay, she's only 16 years old or 15 years old. A lot of people are saying that. Okay, let me ask you something real quick. When did the officer in this, maybe it might have been like 22 seconds total time between the time he gets there and pop, 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 pop. When did the officer have time to check her ID? I'm just asking, because do you think the officer in that short amount of time, as one girl's getting knocked to the ground and kicked in the head like Megan Rapinoe hitting the goal into the World Cup, and the other girl all of a sudden pop, kick in the head, knife, she goes to stab somebody. Okay, first of all, how do you de-escalate that? First of all, in 22 seconds or whatever it was. And how exactly is a taser going to help? See, here's the thing. Officers not trained to, in a life-threatening situation, an immediate life-threatening situation. Because some people say, well, why did you shoot so many bullets? Why did you do that? Whatever. Officers across the nation, and maybe if this is the part of the reform you want to talk about, that the officers are only allowed to shoot one shot, we'll talk about that, right? But they, in a situation like this, immediate threat, the proper procedure for officers is to use one level up of force until the danger is neutralized. Okay, and because you get a whole lot of those, why didn't you shoot her in the leg? Because handguns are notoriously inaccurate. Okay, here's the thing. You don't shoot people in the leg. This is not Hollywood. Okay, I answered some of these people. This is not Hollywood. Okay, not everyone's a perfect shot. We're not the gunslingers of the Old West that one shot right to the head because they're such a great shot. No. They shoot to the largest mass they can to ensure that they neutralize the threat as quickly as they can. Okay, and they're supposed to. A lot of times they say they're supposed to empty their magazine. Okay, because one, notoriously not as accurate as it's not like they're shooting a rifle that they can aim and sight. They're shooting a gun. Yes, they can sight it, but it's, you're not going to get the same grouping. And also, if you've ever watched, I don't know, who's Donut Operator, go watch his channel sometimes. He goes through some of these cases where when a suspect gets shot, but they still keep coming at you. They get shot again, but they still keep coming at you. They get shot again, and they still keep coming at you because they may be hit, but you haven't neutralized them. And so I've seen videos where a guy is shot 5 times, and he's still coming at the officer with a knife. Okay, you shoot until they're neutralized, and that's what he did. He shot 4 times, and he was maybe shot forward to make sure he neutralized, and she went down, so she did, because he probably would have shot more had she not stopped. But the girl's in mid-stab, mid-swing. She got the knife. She had the knife in her hand, and all of a sudden her hand's up ready to stab the girl in the neck or whatever, had it in her head. If you shoot a taser, a taser can only have one shot at a time. And if that taser misses, Okay? If the taser misses, it's not like a gun that you can just reload and shoot again. Okay? So some tasers have a total of 2 shots. Okay? And a person in a highly aggravated state, sometimes the taser doesn't work. A person who may have heavy clothing on, the taser may not work. A person who might be on drugs, and I'm not saying this girl was on drugs. There's no evidence of that whatsoever. I don't think that's the case. But if it were a person on drugs, sometimes the tasers don't work. Highly adrenalated situation. They are, maybe it doesn't work. Handguns are not notoriously inaccurate. Aiming and moving limb becomes more difficult. Oh, yeah, not that the handgun themselves are notoriously inaccurate. I'm saying the shooters are. The handguns themselves are just a tool. Sorry, thank you, Gamer Fleet, for correcting me. It's not that they're inaccurate, but yeah, aiming at a moving limb is very difficult in a stressful situation. And honestly, so they say, oh, well, why did you shoot him in the foot, or why did you shoot the gun out of their hand or the knife out of her hand? That's movie bullshit, okay? There are very few people in the entire planet, or I should say a small percentage, who can do something like that. And most of them are making a lot more money than police officers because they're probably out on the trick shot circuit or in the circus or something like that. Okay. A super expert marksman with a handgun is probably pretty rare. Okay. There's plenty, it's funny because the guy this guy who was the officer apparently is former military, and he had an expert rating as a rifle person, right? But his expert rating is with a rifle. It's not the same as a handgun. Okay. So anyway, so it's typical of some of the dumb stuff. Now, some of these people are not very nice either, like the people responding to these people. But in some ways, so here's another one too. People need to stop raising up kids that grow up to be trigger happy cops. Say what? This is not trigger happy. This cop saved another girl's life, in my eyes. If that girl stabbed her in her neck, that girl would have bled out before the cops got there. Unless, she'd probably have died. People also need to raise up kids that don't okay, never mind. This one says people need to stop raising up kids that grow up to be trigger happy cops. People also need to raise up kids that do not do stupid shit in front of trigger happy cops. I don't see it changing anytime soon, though, unfortunately. Okay, I'll give her one of these. But oh my God, some of these people. Here, let's see. Hang on here. Let's look at some of the replies to her. No, I'm not going to look at the replies to her. Let's move on. Here's another one. So, this idiot. So, now, Valerie Jarrett. That's who I got to get to. Where the hell is Valerie Jarrett's thing? Hang on. Didn't I? I thought I bookmarked Valerie Jarrett next. I'm sure y'all. Oh, and LeBron James too. Okay, hang on. Let's go. Let's find Valerie Jarrett here. And I'm trying. The reason I'm having trouble here is because I'm trying to leave every one of these Twitter tabs open. So let's go Valerie Jarrett, because she did something stupid. Val, probably going to be ending up in the top of the search here. Valerie Jarrett, there she is. Valerie Jarrett, former White House advisor to Barack Obama. Let's see if we can find her stupidity. Oh, good God. Valerie, here it is. Here's the stupidity. She tweets. Oh, why is that sitting up there? Come on down here. Come back down here. A black teenage girl named Ma'Khia Bryant was killed because a police officer immediately decided to shoot her multiple times in order to break up a knife fight. Demand accountability. Fight for justice. Black Lives Matter. Now, I don't know if you follow me on Twitter, but you probably saw me ask the question, Did this heifer say that she should have let that other girl stab the other girl? Is that what she's saying here? Because Valerie Jarrett had to have seen the video by the time she did this dumbass tweet, right? This was 10:13 a.m. yesterday. This happened 2 days ago. The video was out. The body cam footage was out. It was all out. And this heifer, a knife fight. Oh, to break up a knife fight. So here's one. So a lot of people were making up Valerie Jarrett quotes in the comments. I'll just read a couple of them here. Austin Smith, let children have knife fights. Valerie Jarrett, because it's okay. It's just a knife fight. Please tell me an officer is not supposed to exercise use of force when either the officer or the public life is in danger. Are you really that dumb? Oh, ding. Police officer who apparently was also an expert marksman. Oh, this is the other one. This is here it is right here. Here it is. A police officer who apparently was also an expert marksman, which means he had the ability to shoot to injure if his intent wasn't to kill. He didn't aim for her arm or leg or foot. He didn't shoot once. He shot her 4 times in the chest. I have questions. I have questions for this person. I don't know if it's a male or female. Latrenda Carswell. That's an interesting name. All right. So if the first shot didn't incapacitate the perpetrator of the knife stabbing, and the person kept stabbing and caught a vein or whatever, artery, whichever one's worse, and that person bled out because the officer only shot once and then tried to de-escalate, would you be mad at the officer? Also, again, we've already discussed Gamer Vleen. Thank you for that. You're trying to shoot a small item that's moving. No, you do not shoot to maim or disable. If you use the weapon, you better have it right, and you shoot to neutralize or kill the person about to kill somebody else. You shoot for the largest part, because also you try to shoot a small piece. You try to shoot him in the foot, or you try to shoot the hand. You might hit the other person if you do that. You might if you miss the foot and it ricochets off the pavement and would have killed somebody else. That's a problem. No, you're trying to shoot one person and one person only, and it's the person about to commit a very a life-threatening act. Stupid people with stupid questions. Expert marksmen aim at center mass because it moves less than the appendage is much larger than the head. Yeah, exactly. You shoot at the largest spot of the body. That's why, when you go to the shooting range, now they do have a small bullseye on the head, but most of the bullseyes right there in the middle of the body, because that's what you shoot at. Okay? You don't shoot it. They don't have little bullseye marks on the hands and limbs. They have the bullseye right in the middle of the body, and the center mass. But lots of people were ripping on her. And then, this is the other stupid thing they do. This is the stupid ass thing they do. And I'll give you another example of this. Cops can't break up a fight between teenage girls without firing 4 shots into the chest of one, killing her. Miracle he missed the other girl. Give me a break. He had colleagues, brute force, and a taser. He chose the gun. No, he didn't have colleagues. He was the first one on the scene. And then they do this stupid ass thing where they go, white folks who were taken into custody with loving care. And they show people who were arrested by police without dying, without killing him, without shooting him. This is the dumbest damn argument you could ever make. Okay, because again, it's the narrative is that they kill every black person that they go kill every black person they come across. Right? They're hunting black people. This is black genocide. Really? why are there so many brothers in jail who've been arrested? How did all those people get in jail? Because you're saying that because we're over policed and we go to jail more often, and we it's how are all these people in jail then? Are there no black people in jail because they kill them all? Only these white people are in jail? Don't think so. Dumb argument. That's a terrible argument. Now, if you want to argue that it's disproportionate, they're more disproportionately killed, even though more white people are killed, it's disproportionate. Because I saw the other day someone was, someone brought that up, that like the what was it? Deaths so far this year, it's like 150 white people have been killed by police this year, and 52 so far are black. Like it's 109 to 52 right now, right? More white people are killed by police. There's more white people. Of course, there's going to be more white people killed by police. In fact, well, you would think, but. And then I remember, who was it, Sophane or somebody I was reading, there's like, see, all these idiots, they don't understand proportionality when it comes to numbers, but then they always want to talk about the 1250, 1251 or whatever, 1350. Okay, look, I'm not a fan of the 1350 talking point, because it's really about 1% of black people are doing 50% of the crime, not 13. Not all of us commit crime. So it's annoying, but I get the point of this particular part of the population are represented, people who do these crimes, 50% of crimes done by people who are within the 13% of the population, not the 13%, because not everybody commits crimes. Dumb. That's a dumb one too. But as far as police interactions, most crimes are in cities. Cities are populated because they say, oh, well, there should be proportionality when you talk about, who's being killed. Well, okay. Cities, though, do have a higher percentage. There's a larger percentage as far as the population, and also there's a correlation to crime. Okay. So, unfortunately, that is a fact that of the 50% of the crime come from within 13% of the population. Not 13% of the population commits as much crime. Because, again, they're all individuals. We are not, people of my demographic are not all criminals. Okay? So, that's another, I don't want that perception either. I don't like that. But anyway. Let's hope next time your kids are having a rubble outside and the police show up, shooting will be the next line of action to defuse the situation. It's always justified when you're not affected. The girl was coming at someone with a knife. All right, I got to move on though. Let's go back because there's okay. That's the same lady. Oh, that's because I went backwards. Where's the one? But this is a stupid argument. And also, I made a point with somebody yesterday, that every case is not the same. There are 17,000. There are 17,000 police departments in the United States. 17,000 each, with their own rules, with their own their own issues and how they deal with things. And if somebody in Ohio, in some town in Ohio, is treated one way, and then they catch another person somewhere else and take them alive, and then they kill another guy in West Virginia, and then all the cases are unique to that case. The circumstances are unique to that case. You cannot compare things by demographic at all. All right, where the hell is this article? This one I'm looking for. Because this was, here we go. Because this was someone complaining about what Valerie Jarrett. So here's this guy. And I found it humorous. So he says, nah, bro. His name's Nah Bro. What Valerie Jarrett is saying is that white people are shown patience and receive a different level of resolve than black people, even when faced with a deadly threat. You drama cowards and white supremacist protectors can kick rocks. And this person, so they show this one case of one guy being taken down. He has a gun. The police don't shoot him. That's because you're showing that one case that's different, and there's plenty of cases where white people are shot by police. It's not about each individual case, different police department, different city, different protocol, different knowledge of the threat. We don't know anything about this. Yes, they have a video of one guy with a gun. Do they know the man? Do they talk to him down? Is there alcohol involved? Are they fearful he's going to shoot? You don't know any of the circumstances other than you have a video where one guy gets arrested that has a gun. I can probably, if I really took the time, I could probably show you hundreds of examples of black men who had a gun or had a weapon that didn't die in the encounter. They eventually gave up even after shooting a police officer. There are cases like that. In fact, there are cases where a person killed the police officer, but they were taken in alive by the other police officers. You can't pick one situation, cherry pick, well, this guy didn't get killed. So anyway, this guy, Joe's sniffing coach, great name, made the correct assessment. These are anecdotes. True. This person, they still count as examples. They do, but our perception of police shootings may be skewed because the national media only seems to report on black people being shot. True, for the most part. and this is where I made the and then this Joe, this is comparing treatment of armed suspects. A white guy who pointed a weapon at a cop in this video was not shot. A black child who had a weapon was shot multiple times. Oh, you mean she just had a weapon? Like he just shot her because she had a knife in her hand. Is that why she was shot there, Vince? Oh, wait a minute. Vince, she was in the act of stabbing somebody. Oh no. Richo, what did Richo do now? Richo, have you been drinking? I know sometimes that's the case. Anyway, she was in the act of stabbing someone. She didn't just have a knife. So I was like, the officer forgot to check her ID to see how old she was while she was in the act of stabbing another girl. And here's the thing is, the comparison doesn't mean anything. Every situation, every one of these cases is unique. And so this guy thought, oh, he's gonna throw a mega thing at me. He's gonna say I'm mega. And he says, that's the new catchphrase. Nothing is systemic since every situation is unique. If all these unique situations appear similar, it's just a coincidence. MAGA persists. Oh, Vince. Oh, Vincent, my friend. So I bring up the example of the young man who was killed just the other day. 16-year-old teenager killed by a trooper who had a toy gun, airsoft gun. Now, what happened in this case is someone called the police, said looked like he had a gun. Now, you wouldn't have any idea how old the kid was. You don't know. The officers don't. All they see is a person has a gun, acting weird. Kid has an airsoft pistol, right? And the trooper gets there, and the kid points the airsoft pistol at the trooper, and the trooper shoots him. He goes down. Then the kid pulls a knife out of his pocket and starts to stand up. Why he pulled the knife out, who knows? But he starts to stand up, and the trooper's like, put the knife down, put the knife down, pop, 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 pop. 16-year-old kid. I know that the circumstances are different than the 16-year-old girl in Ohio, but just as I expected, here's Vincent's reply. A 16-year-old who pointed a gun at a cop and kept advancing even after he was shot once? That's almost exactly what happened in Ohio, except that's completely different. Oh. Was it different, Vince? I think you're making my point, but here's the arguments when it's a black girl or anything. But it was a toy gun. Why did they shoot him? But he was only 16. Why did they shoot him? But he was an honor student. Why did they shoot him? But he was trying to get up. He wasn't advancing. Why not de-escalate? Why didn't they shoot him in the leg? Vince! You made my point for me. Every event is different. They're all different. You cannot compare one to the other. The girl was about to stab another girl. The officer saved a young black woman's life. He saved her life. Black lives matter. He saved a black woman's life. Right? Right? Now, I do have that video. I'm going to put it make sure I have it in the tabs. Thank you, Ronan, again for sending that to me yesterday. And let me right click that, make sure I have it in the tabs, because I'm not going to play it, but I am going to have it here ready for you. Let's see here. And oh no. Oh, okay. It's been identified by the YouTube community as inappropriate or offensive to some audiences. Okay, that's fine. It is now in the tabs. All right, and I'm out of time. So let me just go. You know what? I'm going to go over today. Just going to do it because for you, I'm going to go over today. FTG Vince. Yeah, FTG Vince, no doubt. Hey, I haven't been doing my FTGs today. FTG Vince, if you're not familiar with what the FTG is, stands for fuck that guy. All right. Now, this one kind of pissed me off, and I'm going to go through it quick. The Daily Beast put this video in their, or put a description of this video. Ohio police officer was caught on camera shouting "Blue Lives Matter" to a group of shocked residents at the scene where another officer shot and killed a black teenage girl in Columbus. Now, nowhere in this article did they mention that the girl had a knife and was about to stab somebody with it. They just, they shot and killed a black teenage girl in Columbus. And a Facebook video taken in the aftermath of the shooting, upset residents can be seen talking about what happened when a nearby officer appears to yell at them, "Blue Lives Matter." One of the residents can be seen reacting angrily, saying, "Blue Lives Matter, crazy, that's an insult, especially in this place right now." Now, and then another Washington Post, another reported Tuesday, another cop on the scene was wearing a Blue Lives Matter face mask. Now, they're just trying to stir up some shit here, and you can check out the video. I think I have it. It's one of these videos in here somewhere. Anyway, the article's there. I've listened to it. I pulled out the audio. I have took out all the noise and tried to hear a cop saying "Blue Lives Matter." They say that he was caught on video saying it. He never says it. The guy yelling at him says it several times. And the girl taking the video hears the guy say, now he was talking about a Blue Lives Matter flag. And I think they were maybe talking about a face mask or something. Talking about a Blue Lives Matter flag. And he's yelling at this guy about this Blue Lives Matter flag. The girl taking the video goes, "What? Blue Lives Matter? Did he say that? Oh, that's some bullshit." Nowhere in this video will you see an officer yelling "Blue Lives Matter" at these people. Now, there is one at the beginning of the video where I hear the word "Blue Lives Matter." It might be a different voice, but it still sounds a little bit like the guy who's already yelling at the officer. So you'll have to check it out. Richard. Oh, no, not Richard Orifices. Richo? Okay, Richo. Here's the deal. No more. Stop right now. And you know what I'm talking about. Please stop. All three of these accounts, stop. Last warning. All right. Anyway, why is AAA on here? Oh. No. Oh, because I paid my car insurance bill. All right, you don't need that. You don't need that tab. And the database I have open here. Real quick. Oh, LeBron James has stepped in it too. So LeBron James, if you've seen this, LeBron James took to Twitter Wednesday to explain why he deleted his "You're Next" tweet. He thought this was here's the tweet he thought was a good idea. This is the officer that shot the girl in Ohio. He said, "You're next." Accountability. Now that seems to be a little concerning, and I'm wondering if anyone at Twitter happened to get to him as this started trending. But he eventually deleted the tweet. Okay? And then he came up with an explanation. Later Wednesday evening, James returned to Twitter to attempt to explain his motivation for deleting the post. "I'm so damn tired of seeing black people killed by police." That's the only news you get. You clearly only watch the national news. Because that's the only place where they tell you black people are being killed by police. They don't even tell you when black people are being killed by other black people. But they will quickly tell you when a black person is killed by police, which is extremely rare compared to any other types of people dying in this country. Just saying. Now, "I'm so damn tired of seeing black people being killed by police. I took the tweet down because it's being used to create more hate." No, you were getting ratioed to hell. and it came off as though you were suggesting violence to that officer. That's why. And you clearly have no idea what's going on in that case, or you wouldn't have done that. You should have been saying hero for saving a black woman's life. My personal opinion. Now, you may disagree with me, but that's my opinion. He saved a woman's life. This isn't about one officer. It's about the entire system. They always use words to create more racism. You're helping a little bit yourself there, LeBron. And I'm so desperate for more accountability. Okay, fine. They should investigate, but I think what you're going to find is clearly the officer acted properly when a girl is about to stab another girl. Anger does us. Anger. Now, this is LeBron, it's Twitter and LeBron, so this sentence may not make sense. Anger does any of us any good, and that includes myself. I think he said doesn't do us any good. Gathering all the facts and educating does, though. My anger is still there, still here for what happened to that little girl. Now, okay, obviously, LeBron has not seen the tape. This girl is not little by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, women tend to top out at their height and weight usually in their teens, their late teens, whereas men tend to grow up until their early 20s. So this was no little girl. In fact, this was quite a big girl. She was a big girl. And so I don't know where he came up with little girl. He heard 16 and thought, oh, poor little girl. He's thinking like 13-year-old Trayvon Martin, who was actually 17 and a high school football player when he was killed. But anyway, doesn't matter. Anyway, my anger is still here for what happened to that little girl. My sympathy for her family, and may justice prevail. Absolutely sympathy for her family. Absolutely. We should all have sympathy for her family. And in fact, I don't even say that she's a bad girl at all. She did something stupid in the heat of the moment. If you don't know the case, apparently she was the one who called the police and there was people fighting and she got mad and grabbed that knife and went to stab somebody. But please, no matter what, may justice prevail. Now, again, when he says justice, he does not mean justice. He means what I'm thinking right now in the heat of the moment of what little facts I know about this case, that officer should be in jail or prosecuted. That's what he means by justice, not actual justice, which in this case, this one case, not comparing it to any other case. In this one case, justice would be they review the facts and the officer is not charged with anything and goes back to his job. Okay? I grieve for the family, but in this case, justice, actual justice, not what he thinks, but what justice would be nothing happens because he acted properly in the circumstances. Every case is different. James would have done well to gather all the facts and educate himself before posting that tweet, given the grasp of the facts of this case seems to be completely wrong. As the Washington Times reports, a body cam image released by the Columbus Division of Police shortly after the Tuesday shooting indicates that the Los Angeles Lakers star interpretation of events may be objectively wrong. Knife-wielding Miss Bryant appeared to bear down on another woman in Columbus, Ohio, just after the officer arrived in the scene. Not only that, James seems to hone in on the fact that the police officer who shot Bryant is white and Bryant is black, which is irrelevant in the eyes of justice. However, he makes no mention that the woman Bryant was attacking was also black, saved her life, meaning the officer used deadly force to save a black woman's life. Many Twitter users were dubious of James' explanation. Tim Young, to clarify, LeBron is okay with black people killing other black people. He's only upset when a white police officer stops the murder from happening. Gad Sad, may your race-based tweets achieve Most of your race-based tweets achieve nothing other than fomenting hate, division, and tribalism. You are a dispenser of racial hate rooted in an ethos of victimology. Strong people overcome their tragic circumstances, as my family and I did when we escaped the Middle East. If the officer hadn't shot the girl with the knife, the other girl would have died. You're making it a little obvious that you don't care about black-on-black crime because it doesn't fit your narrative. Yeah, person-on-person crime. It doesn't have to be black and black. It's just if it's black or, well, you know what I mean. And she had a knife and was about to stab a black woman. I'm curious if she had been a white girl about ready to stab a black woman and the officer took her down, pop, 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 would that officer be a hero or a heel? Methinks she would be treated as a hero. All right, I gotta call it a day, guys, because I'm gonna be late. But a reminder: hit the like button, because not all of you have, and I know you like me. If you're still here, you gotta like me somehow. So hit the like button before you leave. And please, if you would be so kind, if you haven't done so, share this stream out, share the replay out. If you're watching on replay, put a comment in the comment section, or even if you're watching now, come back and put a comment in the comment section. I will have the link for all the articles from today, including the ones I didn't get to, in the link in the description down below. It'll be on one page. When you click that link, all the links will be on the tab, including the video of the body cam footage, full body cam footage of the girl who was who unfortunately met her demise. And I feel bad for her family. I pray for her family. It's got to be tough. And when they see that body cam footage, hopefully they will understand the officer was doing his job to the best of his ability and probably saved another person from stabbing. Okay, one way or another, they may have lost their daughter that day. Okay, either she's in prison for murdering another person, or it's of course that'd be better than her being dead, but you got to mourn for the family, regardless of the circumstances, and I feel bad for them. That's completely and utterly legitimate. So anyway, time for me to go. Thanks everybody for dropping in today. If you haven't already subscribed, hit the subscribe button and click the bell so you get notifications and whatnot. You know the deal. You know the thing. And I hope you all have a great day. Tomorrow, I'll be live from Des Moines, Iowa at the Drake Relays, one of the greatest track and field events, annual track and field events in the country, although I'll be streaming from a bar. So anyway, Hope you have a good day. My name is PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is PDawgKnight, and thank you for watching today on the PDawgKnight Channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cashapp, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here.